August 27, 1964 began like any other day in the Kemper household. Edmund Kemper, a 15-year-old teenager, was talking to his grandmother in the kitchen. What seemed like a simple chat quickly escalated into an argument, and soon tension filled the room. In a moment of rage, Kemper grabbed his grandfather's rifle and shot his grandmother dead. Hours later, when his grandfather returned home, Kemper did the unthinkable. He shot him too. But here's where it gets even more chilling. Instead of running away or hiding his crime, Kemper did something most people would never expect. He called his mother, told her everything, and took her advice to turn himself in. He dialed the police, and then he waited. This was only the start of Edmund Kemper's journey. To understand what made him a serial killer, we need to look at his childhood first. Born on December 18, 1948, in Burbank, California, Edmund was a giant from the start. 13 pounds at birth and taller than most kids by age 4. But instead of celebrating his size, his mother, who had a deep resentment towards him, mocked him for it. She made it clear that she loved his sisters more, and everything he did seemed to irritate her. This emotional neglect weighed on Kemper and pushed him further away from his family. While he idolized his father, who had always been his hero, his mother's rejection hurt him deeply and left scars that would never heal. As a child, Kemper started showing signs of disturbing behavior. At 10, he began killing neighborhood animals, first a cat, which he decapitated and hung from a tree. Later, he killed another cat, chopped it up, and hid the pieces. He also had bizarre fantasies like shocking himself or imagining being locked in a gas chamber. These acts gave him a strange sense of relief, but no one knew why. Things only got worse at home. In 1957, when he was 9, his parents divorced, and he moved with his mother to Montana. There, her behavior grew more erratic as alcohol and bitterness consumed her. She often told him that he looked too much like his father, and that no woman would ever love him, leaving Kemper feeling completely abandoned. At 14, he ran away to live with his father, but when he found him, his father had remarried and started a new family. Kemper felt more isolated than ever. He ended up living with his grandparents, where his grandmother wasn't kind to him, but his grandfather showed him kindness and even taught him how to shoot. For a while, he felt like he belonged. But as Kemper grew taller and darker inside, his emotions became more strained. At 6 feet 4 inches, he felt like an outcast in his own family. Things seemed normal on the surface, but inside, he was becoming colder and more detached. Then came that fateful day in 1964. At just 15, his anger boiled over, and he took the lives of his grandmother and grandfather. When the police asked why he killed them, he calmly replied, "I just wanted to see what it felt like to kill Grandma." Later, he explained that he killed his grandfather because he thought he would be angry with him. When Kemper went to trial, psychiatrists diagnosed him with paranoid schizophrenia, a mental illness. He was sent to a Atascadero State Hospital for treatment. But here's where it gets even darker. After 6 years in the hospital, doctors realized Kemper didn't have schizophrenia. He was highly intelligent, with an IQ of 136, and showed no signs of delusions. Instead, they re-diagnosed him with a personality trait disturbance. His IQ was later tested again and found to be 145. Kemper wasn't just any prisoner, he was a model one. He trained to give psychiatric tests to other inmates and impressed the doctors. One psychiatrist said he was a rare sociopath who worked hard. He even joined the JCs and claimed to have developed new psychological tests, but the prison couldn't contain him forever. On his 21st birthday, December 18, 1969, Kemper was released on parole, despite warnings from psychiatrists. He moved in with his mother in Aptos, California, and by 1972, doctors declared him rehabilitated. Despite some psychiatrists' warning he remained dangerous, officials erased his juvenile records, and one glowing report even called him a well-adjusted young man. After his release, Kemper tried to become a police officer, but was rejected due to his towering height, 6 feet 9 inches. But this didn't stop him. He befriended local police officers and even hung out with them at the jury room, a bar they often frequented. He worked small jobs and later got a position at the California Division of Highways, but his relationship with his mother remained toxic, full of loud arguments and constant tension. In 1973, he got engaged to a 17-year-old girl, but the engagement ended after his second arrest. By this time, his darker urges started to take over. He noticed young women hitchhiking and, at first, picked them up and let them go. But then, he started carrying plastic bags, knives, blankets, and handcuffs in his car. He later admitted to picking up around 150 hitchhikers before his violent urges, what he called little zapples, took over. He said the women were flaunting their freedom, and that made him angry. In 1972, he killed his first victims. On May 7th, he picked up two 18-year-old hitchhikers, Marianne Pesci and Anita Lucchesa. He took them to a secluded spot and killed them both, stabbing and strangling them. He then drove home with their bodies, stopped by a police officer for a broken taillight, and kept his cool. At home, he took pictures of the corpses, violated them, and dismembered them. Months later, his spree continued. He picked up a 15-year-old girl, Aiko Koo, in September 1972. Kemper drove her to a secluded area, killed her, and did the same horrific things he did with the others. A few months later, he murdered 18-year-old Cindy Shaw and took her body back to his mother's house. There, he dismembered her and did something particularly disturbing. He buried her head in his mother's garden. When asked why, he later said it was because his mother always wanted people to look up to her. Kemper's killing spree lasted until April 1973, when his final victims were his mother, Clarnell, and her best friend, Sally Hallett. After years of abuse and rejection, Kemper finally turned his rage on the one person who had hurt him the most, his own mother. He killed her in her sleep, decapitated her, and even threw darts at her severed head. But even that wasn't enough. After killing Sally, he drove more than 1,000 miles, expecting a massive manhunt. But there was nothing. No police reports, no sense of urgency. Frustrated, Kemper made a shocking decision. He turned himself in. When asked why, he simply said, "It wasn't serving any purpose anymore. I was exhausted." And just like that, the co-ed killer's reign of terror ended. Kemper was charged with 8 counts of murder and pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. But during his trial, 3 psychiatrists declared him sane. Despite claiming he had 2 personalities fighting for control, the jury found him guilty. In the end, he was sentenced to life in prison with no chance for parole. Over the years, he remained a model prisoner, but continued to fascinate people with his chilling insights into the minds of serial killers. He shared his thoughts with FBI agents, helping them understand what made people like him tick. Even today, Kemper's legacy continues to live on, his influence evident in films, books, and TV shows. He is a reminder of how a brilliant mind, twisted by neglect and rage, can turn deadly. And as we reflect on his story, we're left with one haunting thought. How does someone like Edmund Kemper come to exist? If you found this story disturbing yet important to understand, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more real crime cases explained in simple, clear language. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think led Edmund Kemper down this terrifying path? And which case should we cover next?